All right, here we go. Counting in one, two, three, four. Lock the door. Five, six, seven, eight. Oh, ain't this great? Okay, so where is my video? You're going to ask. It's coming. I swear it is. One of these days. Why are you like? Oh, there you go. See, told you it was coming. Not in that way, though. All right, let's get. Come on, seriously. Let me get my video up, and here we go. Oh, we are live, and I am on. Let me just change the naming a bit, maybe. So, hey, it's like Friday night, and what am I gonna do here? Well, here's a clue. So, I was talking to a few people, and I thought it would be really cool if I did retro gaming. But unlike most channels, I'm gonna go like really retro game. So tonight's first victim is a little 1983 hit. Now, for those of you who got suckered into buying this in the age of Atari 2600, my sympathies. For those who didn't, good for you. We're talking about a doozy of a little system called the Vectrex. Now, the Vectrex was bought out by GCM Games around 1982. Um, and it was basically primitive even for back then. The games were mostly like wireframed in 2D. We are talking Pong, like 1970s primitive. Like 1980 had already seen Pac-Man. So we were literally out of these dark ages. Um, so let's get started then. Uh, here we go. And there we go there. Hey, so he's looking handsome, don't you think? Dum dum dum. Can everyone hear the audio? Hey, Spike, help! Oh no, Molly. God. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's how primate or primitive this thing was. It was literally like you had to expect you expected to start in like the first 5 seconds. And as you can see, Spike Surf lives up to his name, at least in the 2D sense. He's got this spiky hair about him. So yeah, the whole idea is you use one button to like jump around and kick, and then you use the other to switch around the door or a ladder. There we go. And that's what you use the key to get into. But like Double Dragon, you keep like, oh great, I got her. Oh no, Molly. Here we go again. Yeah, that damn bouncing thing. Come on. Yeah, you really have to like outsmart this thing. Oh, I forgot it could get you on the ladder that easily. Oh, oh, so the key's all the way on the bottom. Oh, hell's no. I was already practically up that ladder. And welcome to like Spike. Finished with 3,600. Oh no, Molly. This is literally the whole game. But that whole like intro line is hilarious. It's so damn corny. You just have to go to yourself like, what were they even thinking back then? I got the key, just get up there. Oh no! Oh, ow, that hurt. This isn't even real. I felt that. That was just like, finally. All right, let's see if we can get Spike up the second level, you know? Oh no, Molly. Like, that's literally how I hear their voices. Like, mate. Oh no, Molly. Damn you. No, you're not getting me that way. Wait, what? You're kidding, right? It- I so like really am terrible at games, especially these older ones sometimes. I mean, with the exception of Pac-Man. Pac-Man I can get good at. But yeah, these games are so damn like hilarious. Like, what were they thinking? Like I said, this is like really old, even for back then. We're talking about the same time the Atari 2600 came out. We have Pac-Man, we have Donkey Kong. Like, this is literally Pong graphics and logic. And people actually bought this up. I know a few. And actually had this in their house and thought this was a legitimate gaming system for some odd reason. It was literally funny too. It was like one joystick hooked up to one controller hooked up to a system. And if you played two player, you played it sharing the one controller and passing. So that's what literally like all the games were like turn based. And you want to hear something funny. Oh shoot. I forgot the key. So the funny thing is there's an actual version pole position for this. You know, like the racing game. And I do like the arcade version or the Atari 2600 version at one time. But it's hilarious. Like, look at this. How could anyone take this? Oh, hells no. Just gonna die. At that point, I'm like, what did I? Oh, God. Beautiful. Oh, hells no. Like, seriously, dude, that was like, that's the other thing about these whole games. They have like, the computer actually cheats a lot on these older games. It's like, for example, if like with that thing, you caught a bow tie and that little like bouncing spring type thing froze. So you froze it for a certain amount of time, and that time's supposed to be fixed. But if you notice, if you watch the way the game runs, you'll see it doesn't always stop for the same amount of time. Now, one can argue this is like, you know, just a minor thing due to limited processes at the time, but that's a lot of like BS because they were pretty capable. Not in the sense you're not gonna run like rocket science or even like Windows on them, but they were capable in the sense that if you got one, you could legit count on it to run an alarm clock. In fact, the original Intel processors and some of the other CISC complex instruction set computing processors of the time literally had the alarm clock built into they had it built into the processor. Hey, we actually got past the second level, believe it or not. And here we are again. Oh, Molly. Hey, Spike. Oh no, Molly. Oh jeez. Anyone. Some people actually have memories of this. Oh shoot, I did third level. I'm really rocking it tonight. 2D champion. And yet Spike got his heart broken again. I should have kicked that damn thing's butt. 4 levels, not bad. So yeah, the Vectrex you can see, and like, if you want to see pole position, I'll set that up tomorrow night. Like the graphics on pole position for this is literally hilarious. Um, so where's my? Oh, there's my mouse cursor. So literally, pause this. You can see this is like the corny graphics they had on this thing. What were they thinking? there was just like so much it could have done. And if you want a real like laugh, so give me a second. I just wanna like pull up. I don't know if anyone's seen any. I hate when it blocks things. Like literally, I I have you going. I why? Because you wanna like mess with me? Oh God, I hate this. This is why I have a separate mouse. Give me 2 seconds. But yeah, so we should do like pole position on this because if you haven't seen pole position in the arcade, my thing is look up like screenshots of it. You'll see it's like full 256-bit color. It's not like the most extreme or the most extravagant. Definitely light years before Grand Theft Auto, even the first one. It's like GTA 1 was like eons ahead of pole position. But still, it had color, it had sun depth, and even though it's granulated, you can see this. And like the pole position on the Vectrex is like wireframe monochrome. That is just as bad, if not worse, than this, if that could be imagined. So the original cost of a Vectrex system in 1982 was about $199, while the Atari 2600 1982 was about 125. So literally like 125 for an Atari 2600, which you basically hook up to a color TV. This was your lot. I mean, or you paid 199 for a Vectrex, which was like this small little box, and it had the convenience in this way. It was like if you know what the Mac all-in-one looks like, not the but the original like classic or Mac 2, where it's like that small square box, little itsy bitsy monitor, floppy disk. It was sort of like that. Um, and this was literally like what the Vectrex was, and it had one controller. And when you played multiplayer, all the games were turn based. And it was laughable that you actually paid more for this on average than the 2600. So the people who end up buying this were like older people, older, who basic who basically had no idea of gaming systems and why either buying toys to like hand over to the kids and or like when they came over the house or whatnot, or they were just buying to have. It was like a status thing. And literally, like if you go back then, I mean, this is the origin of like the Finger Hut catalog craze. So if you want to know where it comes from, go back then. People literally paid like literally hand over foot for stuff that was worth sometimes as much as 10 times less in the retail market. They would get it from Finger Hut. It would be like really, really. They and Finger Hut, and it was the original like credit, like predatory lender. They would literally give out like gargantuan, at least for like what they were asking, gargantuan amount of credit So people could buy stuff that wasn't even worth like half of what they was selling it for. At the very least, it might even be worth as little as 10 times less than what they were selling it for. And then they would, on top of that, give you credit, which then allowed you to like pay it off for the rest of your life. And this was a finger hut scam. I mean, some people tell you it's also the Avon scam, and this may be partly true, but at least Avon made its own makeup and sold it, and they had other things such as their perfume line. All Finger Hut did was take stuff that was already on the retail market that was either not selling, poorly marketed, or just completely unsellable, and they would take their audience, which usually they catered to the most gullible people, to buy this stuff. And this is who bought the Vectrex. This is essentially what this age was about, which is what makes the Vectrex so laughable, because it's the epitome of 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 like you want the epitome of like Reagan economics and what real innovation it brings. This is it. The alternate side of that, you have the founders of Atari, who, by the way, before I forget, you have the founder of like Commodore business machines and his brother, who was one of the major founders, the original bona fide on the floor founders of Atari. So like legit. And I'm trying to remember his name. He's really like popular because they were both like European Jews who came over here like during the war, and for the longest time they both worked doing whatever. They were the epitome of people who actually did something and made something, not only for themselves but in this country. And then what you get is you get a lot of corporate overreach, which then destroys it. Commodore, um, for those who don't like understand this, was the epitome of what computing was like prior to 1982. They had a serious stranglehold on the market, and not because, but they actually created pretty good stuff. And they were about to enter another age with the Amiga at the time. Um, and I want to be short and sweet because I don't want to get too technical, but I want to give a backdrop to this. So the PC had already been out for quite a few years, but was not making headway because non-PC computers were still holding on. People were still on their Atari 2600, and the Commodore was definitely on the top of that line because it was providing probably one of the most cost effective solutions. The Commodore 64, which sold for about the same amount of money at the time as the Atari, delivered a greater performance and a greater amount of memory than either. Born of the same old 8-bit Motorola 6500 series processors, it packed about the same punch as the Atari 2600, and the streamlined instruction set of the 6500 allowed it to compete nicely with the 8088 slash 8086 family, which the PCs originally ran on. Here's the kicker. The PC, which had originally had 64K, or I'm not even sure, it may have been 32K at one time. It ran a fairly, like, if you look at what this all started with, you'll see a lot of it's like it would be like impossible to imagine by entertainment standards. But the Commodore 64, okay, so legitimately had um, more firepower beneath it, more of a following. A lot of people followed Commodore from its earliest days, and the so it took on the PC because it was highly cost effective, delivering like the same type of punch for a far less price tag. So you could put out the amount you would for the 2600, or if you bought like a whole kit, you could probably like put out a little bit more and get the same stuff you would get with the PC or the original PC Junior for like I mean, you pay like $1,000 or more for the PC or PC Junior for what you were getting, and you really weren't getting that sophisticated technology. Plus, Commodore. This is something lesser known. So before the Amiga, Commodore had another GUI on it that really gave Apple a run for their money, and in fact is a lot of the reason why Apple Mac ended up the way it is. That GUI is Geos. Geos was essentially a lot of what you see in the Apple Mac today, but it was the same thing back in 80 or 81. And this was legit a thing. Um, as was the fact that a lot of programs like you really didn't have WordPerfect back then or Microsoft Word. So you had WordStar, and WordStar ran on a Commodore 64, Commodore 128 if you had the money. So you legitimately had all the benefits. Um, so yeah, it's like something like this back then was laughable, but it was done. Um, and it really is hilarious to imagine like how they got, because here's the honest to God truth, not that much before 1982, I would say 1981, I got a handheld thing. um there used to be a paper route that used to deliver like free circulars. It was called the Penny Saver, and I had like a thing with them way back, and I used to work, and I used to get paid. I think it was every week, maybe it was two, but and it wasn't much, nothing by today's standards. But I was like, what, 11, 12? What the hell was I gonna earn? I wasn't going for a full time salary. But I saved up a couple of weeks and got this little gaming thing, and essentially it was like yay high, yay wide, and this was the type of graphics, and that was in 1981, and that thing, I don't think it cost more than 25 at the time. Was essentially the same idea and almost the same size. And if I could be quite honest, the control on it had a hell of a lot more buttons. So I got more bang for my buck. Um, like I said, even for back then. And people got suckered into this. I still don't understand how. Um, this isn't like the Odyssey or what was the other one? The Timex Sinclair, where it was an off-label system, um, something that wasn't like mainstream and you didn't find much anywhere. This was just like not a thing. It was too overpriced, too underpowered, and obviously the graphics sucked for even back then, especially for a $200 machine. No way in hell. And to be quite honest, $200 by those standards is 500 or $600 by today's market standards. So think about that. Would you pay like 500 $600? Not saying it was a collector's item, but if it was like brand new off the shelf, would you buy 500 $600 for something with this graphic, with only one controller that really didn't do much? You saw the game, and this is basically an echo of like, and we'll go through a couple of the other games because I plan on having fun, and this video is going to end up on YouTube too. So this is going to be a thing, I think. I hope, maybe. Yeah, so it's like 500 or 600 for this. Why on earth would you even bother? What uh, I'm looking for, I know it was somewhere around here. Oh, well, I know. Well, if I minimize that. Oh, there I am. Yeah, I mean, why on earth would you ever pay like 500 and $600 for something of like this nature? This kind of graphics is like inferior, even back then. That they did it. And honestly speaking, even though they didn't literally pay 500, 600, they paid 200. Even back then, something like this was not worth more than 50 or 60. Come on now. This they got ripped off by 4 times the price. But the games are gonna be a blast to review because they're all like quirky and like they have these little themes going on because it's a monochrome system. You really didn't have much sophistication to it. So everything had to be in the storyline. It's like there's not a lot more you can like do with this. It's not like you can oh I hate oh there we go. Cancel. Oh beautiful. So yeah, it's not like you can do a lot more with this. Um they also had 82 versions of Berserk. Uh they had Scramble, which I think if I remember correctly was their version of Scrabble. They had a 1982 version of Pole Position. So that junk actually came out about the same year Pole Position did, like adding insult to injury. Um, this is even a flashback for them. They put this out as a modern game. I never played. That's what we should do. They have a Star Trek the motion picture game. I never played that. I know I played the original text-based RPG, which was really quirky, but you have to understand this is something the original text-based RPG Star Trek game, which can be kind of cool if you get into it, was born in the 1960s, like, and then revised in the 1970s. So everything in that is really old school, but it's kind of fun to see. Like, I don't know. What else? Well, we had Spike, which we saw, and Cosmic Chase'em, which I think is it was either Cosmic Chase'em, Case Chasm, or Hyper Chase, which was like a really bona fide poor version of asteroids. They had one. I just don't remember which. Little known fact though. So there was actually a Pokemon demo or a few Pokemon demos done on the Vectrex. Now, of course, these aren't like old things. They're not like 82, 83. We didn't have Pokemon back then. They came around 2000, but the fact they did demos on the Vectrex is highly hilarious. Um, I might want to actually see what those things look like. What else? There was Arkanoid, which I'm sort of laughing that they actually came with stuff out with stuff past 88. I'm like, how in the world did anyone find the time to like go and do more with this system? There was just like so little, but they did it. Polar Rescue came out in 83. Bubble Bobble came out in 98. They have Ghouls and Ghosts that came out. They have a few things that came out, and a lot of them are public domain. We should, one of these days, take a look at some of those things, especially the Pokemon demos. They came out around 98 to 2000. I would be dying to see what they look like. Yeah, okay, cool. So, what we could do, since we're bored, maybe. Well, we're not actually bored, but I want us to be bored because it gets entertaining at that point. Um, let me, let me, let me entertain you and help you suffer, sort of. Yeah, let's like go with the suffering for a second. You're like, wait, what? Huh? Did you just say suffering? Maybe. So what I'm going to do is, yes, I'm going to like, we are going to switch things up here for a second. So of course we've been playing like Spike. So I legit wanted to give you a taste of things. Um so let's go for it. And I have no idea what the key configuration is on this. So I had no idea what I'm doing here. I thought that was the key configuration. I didn't know I'd seriously be sitting here for like God knows how long. This is annoying. It was bad enough before. Why? Okay, now you're just like, wow. Okay, let's reboot this. Let's see if that does it. Dun-dum, 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 dun. Okay, dum-dum. Oh, there we go. Okay, so was I had my mouse on my main keyboard. You can already see, like, actually, I was complaining, but this is pretty good for monochrome graphics. I mean, don't get me wrong, the graphics was crappy. Undoubtedly. Damn, baby. In these graphics, it makes me like wanna just like say maybe they should have like made a spy hunter for this. Oh, we gotta do a spy hunter thing all night. Here to qualify. We're back in the saddle. Um, 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 um. Didn't I tell you this won't get boring? Yeah, I have to be honest. For what Vectrex is doing then? Wait, you kidding, right? How the hell did you come up with find me that way? So for what Vectrex is doing, this is pretty good. 'Cause I mean, look at this. Yeah, okay, it's not in color or anything, but consider it this way. This is wireframe graphics, and you saw how bad Spike was. So look at those mountains. They're not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but all things considered. I wonder if I can shift gears here. Because I didn't like pole position have gear shift. Because I'm just pressing on the gas and that's it. Boy. Yeah, it does. It does. I'm right into you. You often do it to me. So I figure what's the difference? I gotta admit, the wireframe graphics are pretty good. Look at that mountain peak. It's not as bad as I remember it. Although, I mean, again, you had 256. No, what? No, it wasn't 256 back then. It was color. So when you have 16 color and you compare it to like this, which is absolutely bona fide, not even legit monochrome with grayscale. It's just like plain black and white. So there you go. Pole position on the Vectrex. Oh God! And they have the Star Trek game. How the hell did they do that? Yeah, obviously the graphics is gonna be crappy. Well, everyone who's old enough has seen the old Star Wars game, the TIE Fighter thing. It's probably close to that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, guess I'll like bring that on here at some point. So right, okay. This was kind of hilarious. So yeah, I said retro gaming, I meant it. And we streamed two Vectrex games, and I have no idea how long we've been at this. So let's take a look at the timer somewhere. There has to be a timer. A timer. There we go. Do I have a timer? No, all I know is I'm live. And I've been live. And I don't know how long I've been live yet. But I mean, it has to be for a while. I wonder like if there's a timer on here somewhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Da, 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 da. Oh, here we go. No, it's not telling me what time I started. That's really crappy. Um, but yeah, I think like cutting it off short like could be fun tonight. Uh, but yeah, I guess that's it for this evening. So, wonder what awaits for us tomorrow night. Hmm, maybe some Mortal Kombat 1. I have to get a controller legitimately. I love the mechanical keyboard. It definitely makes a lot of this stuff more playable, but you know, gaming controllers, they're the spice of life. Um, yeah. So, and I'm not sure. Maybe I'll try. Actually, I might want to try my Samsung Xbox controller thingy. You know, when I'm usually playing Xbox games, there's an actual controller for that pairs with the phone, so I can play them. Um, maybe that might work for some of these things. It's a good controller too. It would be a nice thing to see. All right then. So what have we learned? We've learned that Vectrex graphics suck for the year they were released in 1982. Even with some games being released in 83, we know it was hugely overpriced, even for back then. The Atari 2600, which delivered full 16 color high res by those days standards, gradient video, that was arcade quality. At least the arcade quality in the sense of SDTV back in 1970s and 1980s. Hmm, you got for 125 and you still paid $75 more for the pet trick, which was highly inferior. Go figure. What else do we get? We spend way too late with some of these things. So, right now I'm gonna leave you. We'll probably do a live video sometime. By live, I mean something other than me sitting here gaming. Like actually out and about, like I used to. And tell me what you think. What would you want to see like in the next one if I did a video like this? Want to do a Commodore 64 with Amiga run? Wait, no, Omega run. Sorry, Omega run. Or do you want to see an arcade MK1? Do you want to see an arcade Joust or Outrun? Or Pac-Man, the original, or Miss Pac-Man. Those were great games. The Pac-Man series is usually undersold. Even by today's standards, those games are very difficult, whether you were playing the arcade or the Atari or Commodore. This is how popular Pac-Man was. Pac-Man had an edition for practically every system out there. PC, Atari, Commodore, Apple, everyone in television. So yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another one we could do. We could do Burger Time on the television or ColecoVision um system. That'll make an interesting live stream. That's really old school, something you never see anymore. And then you have really old school ColecoVision like Donkey Kong. I mean, come on. This was like the Mario Brothers of the day on the NES of the day. The ColecoVision was it. And a lot of people are going, well, I know, but no. But for the Mario brand, it was, is my point. You got Donkey Kong, you got Mario Brothers, the original, not Super, the original Mario Brothers on ColecoVision. Um, so yeah, that would be fun. We could also try pole position on the ColecoVision. Between the colors and the graphics, I'm sure it would be a hell of a lot better, even though it still would be nothing compared to today's standards. Um, right. Okay. So I guess that's about it. I hope everyone has had a great Friday or is planning on having a great weekend. And we'll talk again soon. Um, Let me stop sharing this and all right then. Everyone have a good night and I will see you again soon. Bye.